Hopefully this mic's on. I was tinkering with it. I didn't realize I was the show was about to go live because I was talking with everybody in the chat. But big trade went down today for the New York Giants. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the forward direction of this football team. Of course, the New York Giants coming up a devastating loss yesterday. I'm sure a lot of people still haven't recovered from that. But the Giants are certainly starting to show you the forward direction of this football team, which is sell. And I think we all realized that that was probably the case. Even if we won yesterday, this was a very probable result. It just became more probable when the New York Giants lost in the fashion in which they did. So today, the New York Giants began what I expect to be a multiplayer sell-off. Maybe it won't be. Maybe it'll just be Leonard Williams, but we're going to have to wait and see. But everybody in the chat, do me a favor. Stand up! New York Giant fans. New York Giants coming up one of their most embarrassing losses in quite a long time. What's going on, Sports Influencer? What's going on, Yvonne? What's going on, Seven? Floyd in the chat, Joey in the chat, H5000 in the chat, unknown chat. But yeah, let's talk about the Leonard Williams trade right out of the gate. I don't know how Joe Shane did it. I mean, people talk about on Twitter, I went on there briefly, that he ate the salary. So, that's it doesn't make the trade appear to be as good as it was. The Giants were on the hook for that salary anyway. If they didn't trade Leonard Williams, it was going to go $6 million. I think it was against the cap next year. So they were responsible for that salary. So to me, that doesn't hurt the value of the trade at all. The Giants end up getting a second and a fifth round pick for Leonard Williams, a player that is good. He's not the player that he was when we acquired him. He's approaching 30. I think he'll do good things with Seattle. I'm excited for him. He's always been one of my favorite players on the team. Seems like a great guy. But the Giants got what they could, and I did not expect that they'd be able to get near that. I expected around a fifth round pick. Of course, I was anticipating that we would shed some of the salary because the Giants salary cap situation right now is a mess, and they're probably going to have to make a couple of small moves before the trade deadline to make sure that they could get through the season. I could see a guy like Paris Campbell going for like a 6th round pick, Adoree Jackson, players like that. Could certainly see things like that, coming to fruition. But this trade is a slam dunk. When you think about it, Dave Gettleman, when we first acquired Leonard Williams, gave up a 3rd and a 5th round pick when Leonard Williams was 25 years old. He gave up a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Now he's approaching 30. And the Giants end up getting more than what they gave up to get him in the first place when he was 25. It's a slam dunk trade by Joe Shane. And I think it gives him more ammunition. It gives him more options in next year's draft. I think if you're being a realistic Giants fan at this point, you at least have to realize that it's a increasing possibility that the Giants may be looking to go quarterback in next year's draft. Doesn't mean it'll happen. Still depends on where we're picking and how they feel about the quarterbacks in this draft class. But it gives them more options to be able to move up if they feel there's a need to do so. You think about it, right? Say the Giants get the 4th pick, 5th pick, whatever it may be, and they like a quarterback that they think is going to go at 2. Well, now all of a sudden you're not that scared to trade an early 2nd round pick, which will be theirs, and maybe the 4th or 5th pick, because now you got a late 2nd round pick to back the 2nd round pick up. So it gives the Giants more options to be able to move up, more freedom to do what they want if they identify that there's a player early on in this year's draft, or if not, you stand pat and you continue to fill holes, throughout this draft with extra draft picks. So I think Shane did a marvelous job with this trade. I can't imagine anybody would be upset with this trade. I can't imagine it. You'd have to be the most ultra negative fan in the world to not be happy with what Joe Shane was able to acquire here for Leonard Williams. So I think it was a slam dunk trade. I think the Giants now are headed in a obvious rebuild situation. I think that's where it's trending, and I think they're going to look to trade some other players on this team before the deadline. I'd look for Adoree Jackson to potentially be traded, like I said, Paris Campbell, maybe Barkley, but the Giants came out today and said, don't expect Saquon Barkley to be traded. And that means one thing to me. They said that they're not looking to trade Saquon Barkley. That doesn't mean you won't trade him. To me, the way I read that, if I'm a GM from around the league, that tells me, well, if we blow him away, they might trade him. And that was always the approach that I think the Giants should take with a Saquon Barkley potential trade. You don't just trade him to trade him. He's too good of a player, and he's a guy that certainly has value for next year's squad, even if you bring in a rookie quarterback, because he's a guy that could certainly support him, right? The best friend to a young quarterback is a great running back like Saquon Barkley. So I don't think they're just going to give him away. And at this point, I probably don't expect the New York Giants to trade him because I don't think a team is going to offer what the New York Giants feel is fair value for Barkley. That's just how I see it. But I think this is a slam dunk. I think the Giants got more than you could have expected, a lot more than what you could have expected in this Leonard Williams trade. So really pumped up, man. Really pumped up about this trade, and we'll see how the rest of the trade deadline plays out. It's tomorrow is the deadline, so we'll see if the Giants make a few more moves. But of course, expect them to continue to look to sell if the right deals are out there. But thank you to everybody for being here. Going to say hello to Afghanistan. Who plays next to Dex now? Well, I expect the Giants. I think Jordan Riley, I'm not saying he's going to start, but you'll start to see him get more reps. They're going to try to get some of these younger guys more reps as this season progresses. The Cordell Flott, so on and so forth, right? So I think that's what you're looking at. Jordan Riley will probably get a lot more exposure on the interior of that defensive line. You're going to see some of these younger players getting more reps throughout the remainder of the season as the Giants try to evaluate the younger players on this roster. That's what I expect to happen. What's up, Barry Manning's popping in the stream. Dana in the chat. What's going on? Thank you to everybody for being here. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. And Jason says, Trader Joe at it again. A second is a heist. G-Men. That's a steal. In my opinion, this trade's a steal. Chris B says, thought a fourth at most. Second is a great trade route. Second and a fifth. Now, the fifth is in 2025, but still, second and a fifth for Leonard Williams. You think about it, the most you would have gotten for Leonard Williams, the most, if you would have kept him, is a third-round compensation pick in 2025 if you didn't trade him. And that's possible. That could have happened because next year the Giants, of course, are not going to spend, I don't think, a lot in free agency, especially if they're going where it seems to be trending, which is rebuild. So you don't expect them to be bringing in a lot of high-priced outside acquisitions next year in free agency, meaning that you probably wouldn't offset the contract that Leonard Williams may sign somewhere else. So they may have gotten a third-round comp pick for Leonard Williams, but that wouldn't have been until 2025. Instead, you get a second-round pick in 2024 and a fifth-round pick in 2025. So it's a slam dunk trade, man. There's nothing to argue about in terms of the trade. Nothing. Great trade. Independent says, could Dexy's production drop without Leo? I mean, maybe slightly, but listen, I watched Dexy. I don't know about you guys. I watched Dexy every game. I'm going to say it right now. Dexter Lawrence is not just the best player on this defense. He's the best player on this football team, period. This guy is getting double teamed, and he's just mauling these guys every game. So, no, I think Dexter Lawrence is worth his weight in gold, and I think he's going to be just fine. If anything, I think Dexter Lawrence will enhance guys like Jordan Riley. I don't think Leo had much to do with the success that Dexter Lawrence has had over the last 2 years. He's been a beast, man. He's manhandling every single week. So I'm not worried about the departure of Leo and Dexter Lawrence's production dropping off at all. I think Dexter Lawrence is a beast, man. He's by far our best player. He is by far our best player. What's going on, man? Yeah, he's up there, man, for sure. I'm not saying they didn't help each other, DQ. They did. Leo being there certainly helps him. But I think Dex is going to be just fine. I think he's one of the best, if not the best. I won't go as far to say the best, but certainly among the best interior defensive linemen in the NFL. I think they're going to be just fine. What's going on, Joey Salado, man? Thanks for popping in. Dex worth his weight in gold. That's a lot of gold, Chris. That is a ton of gold. Drake May will be our quarterback next year. That's going to be a name that's floated about. We'll see. I have to be fair, OG Knockout, I haven't watched a ton of North Carolina games. I've watched 2. So I haven't watched a ton of North Carolina games yet, but he's the name that you hear outside of Caleb Williams. We'll see. We'll see where we're picking at the end of the year. That's what I'm going to continue to say until we know our pick and everything else. But at least the Giants now coming off that horrendous loss are at least showing that they're pivoting and they're doing the right thing. They're selling. They recognize where they're at as a franchise. They're getting rid. They're identifying players that they feel are not in the long-term interest of this football team and getting what they can while they can get it. I mean, I don't know what more you could ask for as a fan. At this point in time, obviously we wanted better at the start of the season, but it is what it is. They got what they could, and they got a lot more than I thought they would. What's up, McCann, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Let's see. Who you think is going to be next, Chris? Yeah, I think I said it a couple minutes ago. I think it's going to either be I think it'll be a small trade. I don't expect another big trade. I don't think Saquon's going to get traded, especially with the reports that are coming out. I wouldn't be stunned, but I think it would take a mega trade for the Giants to give up Saquon Barkley, and I just don't think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a small trade. I think it'll be a Dory, but if they trade a Dory, it won't be a deal like this where they eat the salary. I think it'll be a deal where they try to create cap space for this year, being that their cap situation is as bad as it is. Maybe they get a fifth round pick, sixth round pick, whatever it may be, or a guy like Paris Campbell, similar situation. He's a guy that maybe a team that's trying, like a team like Kansas City, for example. I only throw them out because I know their wide receiving core is not very good, and I look at him. He may fit their scheme. Who knows? Maybe they're willing to give up like a sixth round pick for a guy like Paris Campbell. But I think it'll be a small trade. I don't expect any more mega trades for the New York Giants. I'd be pretty surprised if we end up trading Barkley at this point. I think they'll make a couple of more small trades to free up some cap, get some day 3 picks maybe for the draft next year. I don't expect another mega trade. McKinney's another name that that people have floated about. We'll see. Um, let's see. A fifth would be for a Dory, of course. I'd take a fifth right now, especially if they're going to eat the salary. Um, let's see. OG Knockout says Giants did it again. Joe Shane is smart, and I think he'll do it again tomorrow. Hey, listen, it was a great trade. Big Moo says, how is it possible that Dave says DJ is cleared after the game? Yeah, I saw that today on Twitter. I mean, here's my mindset on the situation, and I know the fan base is going crazy about it. I don't know all the specifics, right? I just read a couple of things on Twitter. My mindset on it is this: from what I heard, or at least what I saw, he wasn't cleared on Friday. He was probably cleared right. It seemed like the day of the game, the morning of the game. And if you're the Giants and you got a guy coming off of 2 neck injuries, and Tyrod Taylor's played as well as he has the last 2 weeks, and he just got cleared, and the weather conditions and the Jets defense. If I was the Giants, I would have been safe there too. I would have said, okay, next week he's going to come in and he's going to start. It was literally, at least according to what I saw, the day of the game. I would have done the same thing. The neck is nothing to play with. I would have done the same thing. I would have said, okay, Tyrod's gotten the job done the last 2 weeks. We can get by. We know the game plan going into this game against the Jets is going to be to do what they did yesterday in rainy conditions against a strong defense. We're going to try to run the ball a lot. Let's make sure that we don't re-aggravate this injury. Let's make sure we're 100% satisfied with putting him out on the football field the following week. That's why I think they did what they did. I'm not going to go crazy about that. Let's see. Ba, 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 ba. Rules are he's declared out on Friday. He can't play Sunday. That would be there you go. To be honest, like I said, I read like one thing on Twitter, 2 things on Twitter today. I didn't get to see the in-depth specifics about it. I'm not flipping out about that. Even if that wasn't the rule, I wouldn't flip out about it. Paul says, "Do you think we will also acquire players at the trade deadline?" No, I don't think we will. I'd be pretty well. I'll never say never. If they acquire a player, though, it would have to fit the timeline of this team. It would have to be a young player that they felt it was more so for the long term interest of this team rather than the short term. But I don't think they're going to be looking to acquire players. I think they're going to be looking to get rid of players, create cap space, so they could get through the season and get some late picks in next year's draft. I don't expect the Giants. It doesn't make sense. What's the point? Right now, the team's 2-6. Right now, Darren Waller's hurt. You still got 2 games against the Eagles. Why? Why would you give up draft capital to try to improve this year's team? Doesn't make sense. Let's be real. Let's be fair. Doesn't make sense. So for me, unless it's a situation like I just said, where it's a guy that you feel could help this team for the next 5 years, he's a young player that you could get a bargain for, different story. But outside of a situation like that, I don't see it. No, I think it will be sellers. Let's see. What's up, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. How about Tibbs entertaining? He's a freaking beast. Screw that. Well, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that yesterday got ruined because Tibbs would have been the talk of the town. He would have been on the back page everywhere. Everybody would have talked about how he had the game-winning sack. He had 3 sacks yesterday. He was a beast. Unfortunately, you had the missed field goal by Gano. Then you had Thibodeau jump off sides, which froze the clock when they got to the 50. And then we ended up losing in overtime. There's a lot you could look back and speculate and say that you think that the Giants didn't do it right. And I could give you a laundry list of situations in that game that if you go back in time, you would have wished that they did it differently. But it is what it is. You got to get that game out of your head. Let's see. Bad Dog traded to Philly. Yeah. Let's see. Who do you want traded from this team? Simple. The guys I just mentioned, man. Those are the guys I want traded. I mean, I want anybody traded for the right price, young Hendricks, but you have to be realistic. You have to say to yourself, well, there's certain players that either the Giants would never trade or B, teams would never be interested in those players due to their contract or whatever it may be. So in terms of the guys that are realistic trade targets for the New York Giants to get rid of, for me, it's McKinney is I guess a small possibility because I'm not in favor of giving the guy 18, $19 million a year, which is probably what he's going to want next year. It's a Dory Jackson, and it's a guy like Paris Campbell on a cheap deal, something like that. Nobody's taking Waller. He just got hurt. Saquon, I don't think the Giants are looking to trade unless they get their doors blown off. Nobody's trading for Daniel Jones with his contract, and he's hurt on top of it. So in the world of reality, I think you're looking at players like that. McKinney, possibly. I don't know what you'd get for him. Adoree, Paris Campbell, players like that, small trades. Let's see. What's up, young Hendricks, man? Thanks for popping in. What's up, Big Blue? He says, felt this day was coming if we lost. Adoree better go as well, though. Hey, listen, I'd be completely open to trading Adoree Jackson. I would actually welcome it with open arms if they were able to make a trade to get rid of Adoree Jackson. Let's see. The Giants paid Seattle $10 million for the second pick next year and a fifth round of 22. Both teams made out great. I mean, I don't look at it like we paid them $10 million, Robert. I just look at it like Seattle didn't pay the $10 million to acquire him because the $10 million were on our books. If we didn't trade Leo and he played out the year, the $10 million were on our books. So I don't look at it like we paid $10 million. I look at it like we owed him $10 million and we said, all right, we'll just basically act as if we never traded him from a financial standpoint, and we'll bring in a second and a fifth round pick. That's the way I look at it. I don't think we went out of our way and said, here's an extra $10 million. No, we said, well, here's our options. And let me ask the chat, what would you do, Robert? What would everybody in the chat do? Here's your options. Option one, they eat the entire contract. They take the $10 million and you get a fifth round pick. Because that's probably what you would have gotten. That's what Snacks Harrison got when they took the contract. You eat the $10 million and you get a fifth round pick. Or you say, all right, we'll pay the remainder of the contract. We're a team in rebuild at this point anyway. We're not going to be looking to compete for a Super Bowl next year anyway. So salary cap isn't prominent for us in the 2024 season. And we get a second round pick on top of the fifth to help build our team. That's the way I look at it. To me, we were responsible for that money anyway. We just did that. Just wasn't we didn't get that out of the trade. We still have to pay the guy. We're still responsible for the bulk of the contract, but we got a second and fifth round pick out of it. So I think it was a slam dunk, man. Let's see. But Seattle could certainly make out on the trade too. They're a team that's looking to compete. He's certainly a guy that could help them. And Baruch says we basically did what Steve Cohen did for the Mets. A little bit different because there's no salary cap in baseball, but I get where you're going at. Let's see. And Jacob says, Tana, how would you feel about Adoree? I don't see that happening. Let's see. Special teams. Oh God, special teams been awful, awful. Um, he's owed 5 point. We do, Luke. I mean, I would assume we do. I would assume that we do. I don't think they're eating that contract, but he's probably going to work out a contract extension. You would think with the Seattle Seahawks. Let's see. Tane, as of right now, who is your top prospect you want the Giants to draft? Best of luck going forward. I got to know where we're picking. Yeah, I've gotten asked this question a million times. I got to know where we're picking. My top three quarterbacks obviously Williams is everybody's number one. Caleb Williams. Everybody's number two seems to be Drake May, and I like the quarterback out of Michigan. Those are the three quarterbacks that I think the Giants would maybe be interested in. And then you've got a couple of premier tackle prospects, and you got Marvin Harrison Jr. Those are probably the guys I'm thinking about right now. But it's way too early, man. Let's see. Yes, they actually did some roster gymnastics today with the punt returner. I think they initially knocked him off the roster, and they brought him back on, so he's going to be back. I saw that today on Twitter. Would you rather have DeVito or Jones when he's? Of course, I'd rather have Jones. They didn't even throw the ball with DeVito. Let's see. Chris says a good question will be McKinney. Are we going to give him an extension? I have a feeling he wants a lot. I would not. I think it would be a mistake. I mean, again, all dependent on what the market is. McKinney's market's a lot less than what a lot of people are anticipating. Different story. But if McKinney's market is, approaching what a tag is for a safety, which is projected to be around $19 million, bye-bye. I could draft another safety in the second round with that extra pick I got this year. I'm not paying Xavier McKinney $19 million. I like Xavier McKinney. He's a nice player. He is not a franchise-altering player. You think about our defense. Be real with yourself. You think about our defense. Who are the franchise-altering players or the guys that are at least trending towards being cornerstone pieces on this defense? It's Dexter Lawrence. It's Kayvon Thibodeau. It's Deonte Banks, probably, the way that he's played in his rookie year. Those are the three guys that Bobby Okereke, those are the guys I'm building this franchise around. I'm not giving Xavier McKinney $18 million a year. I'm not doing it. There's way too many other problems on this team. We need another pass rusher. We need more help on the offensive line. There's way too many other problems on this team for me to dedicate $19 million a year to Xavier McKinney. I'm not doing it. And Jason says, Joe Alt, the tackle out of Notre Dame. He's another guy that's being mocked high. There's like 3 tackles that are going in the top 10 to 12 in a lot of these mocks. He's one of them. The Penn State tackle's another one. Trade Jones to the Vikings for a 6th-round pick. Vikings ain't taking that contract. Let's see. Ernie says, any chance the Vikings? Let's see. Rebuild's been happening since 2016. Pretty much. Well, no, it hasn't. It should have started in 2016, but no, the rebuild started in. Well, you can't say it started in 2018 because we drafted running back 2nd overall and we brought back Eli Manning. So the rebuild started in 2019, and then that failed, and here we are. LA Lou says, I still see J.J. McCarthy as a Giant, or I hope a Ram. I am a fan of J.J. McCarthy. Now, granted, I'm biased because I watch a lot more Michigan games than North Carolina games. And I understand the theory that people say that McCarthy hasn't gone up against any great defenses yet, and that's fair. And we'll see how he does when he plays Penn State. He plays Penn State in 2 weeks, and then he plays Ohio State last week of the season. So we'll see, but I'm a fan of him. I like him. He's got everything I want in a quarterback. He's super mobile. He's got a big arm, and he's improved a lot in terms of pocket awareness, his mechanics this year. Last year, I watched a couple of Michigan games last year. He wasn't that good. This year, he's gotten a lot better. David says, do you think the defense will take a step back without Leo? In my opinion, I think the defense will be just fine without him. Maybe a little step back, but I don't think it's going to be a mega step back. I think the defense will still be good. They've been really good the last 4 weeks. I don't think losing Leo is going to have that big of an effect. David says McFadden is having a nice year too. McFadden's been great. McFadden's right now, if you would have told me going into the year who was the best value pick in the first draft for Joe Shane, I would have, without hesitation, I would have told you Daniel Bellinger. Now I don't even think it's a debate. It's Micah McFadden. Micah McFadden's playing amazing. He's playing great. So yeah, he's been a big time pleasant surprise. He fits the scheme incredibly well too. It's why I thought he'd be the starting linebacker before the year started. Because they drafted him to fit this scheme. He was known as a very good blitzer at that position. But I didn't think he was going to elevate to this level. Bobby Okereke has been really good as of late, too. A'Shawn Robinson, he had a great game yesterday, Lucas. I mentioned his name like 5 times throughout the game. He played really well yesterday. And Anthony says, I doubt Washington would do this since we are rivals, but how do you feel if we attempted to trade that 2nd-round pick for Montez Sweat? Yeah. I'd be a late 2nd-round pick for Montez Sweat? Yeah. But then that's not happening, but yeah. Let's see. What's going on, Horny Tana? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Mike says it's not like we wouldn't be a 500 team and trending upward if we would have just given Saquon the rock on 4th and 1 against the Bills and Jets. This team just needs O-line and better coaching. That's I mean, we don't know. We'll never know if we would have picked up the 4th and 1 yesterday or against the Bills. I actually sided with the field goal yesterday. I know that's an unpopular opinion. I actually sided with the field goal, but I did want them to run Saquon Barkley on that last play. In the other game you're talking about against the Bills, in that spot, field goal's not an option. You have to run a play. You're on the 1-yard line. Yeah, I'm giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. So I definitely agree with you in the Bills game. Yesterday, I think it's up for interpretation. I know a lot of people think we should have went for it. I actually sided with the field goal. I actually thought it was the right decision. It didn't work out. It is what it is. No matter what happened, Dable was going to get killed for it. If it didn't work out. Let's see. No. Can we stop with this? Is Brian Dable on the hot seat? No. You know what, Fly Parks? Nothing would surprise me. With this team, nothing would surprise me. Should he be? No, but nothing would surprise me. You're already starting to see a lot of the fan base starting to, basically say they want him out of town. So nothing would surprise me. Do I think he should be on the hot seat? No, absolutely not. But nothing would surprise me. And Jamil, thank you very much, man. They might use that 2nd round pick to move up. Yeah, I said that. I actually said that at the top of the stream. It gives them more options in terms of a trade up, or they may use their other 2nd round pick to trade up because that has more value. And then they have a late 2nd round pick, so that they have more. The more picks you have, the more options you have on draft day. Ayub says, "What are you all talking about? We're getting a quarterback, no other options. What's another offensive tackle, wide receiver going to do for us? Get with the program. It's quarterback hunting season, boys." I'm pretty much there. I'm not there yet because we still got 9 more games left, so things can change. So I'm not going to just nail it down. But if this season goes where it seems to be going, I'm going to be with you. I know you and many other people have been calling for me to want to get on board with taking a quarterback the last couple of years. I've stood strong to what I believe they should do. In 2021, I didn't think there was a quarterback worth drafting at all. So it didn't make sense for me. Last year, we weren't in a position to take a quarterback, and Jones showed progress. So I was completely on board in the situation we were in to bring him back. I'm going to be on board with you this year, Ayub, if this keeps going the way it's going. And I've stated my opinion several times as to why, and I don't think that opinion will change unless Daniel Jones comes back and this team starts winning games, and we're not picking in the top 3, top 4, top 5. We're picking top 3, top 4, top 5. The writing's on the wall. That's just the reality. That's the reality, unless they don't like a quarterback. That's the reality. So you guys won this time. If this keeps going the way it's going, I will be on board with you guys. The quarterback crew. I will be on board with the quarterback crew. Let's see. Let's see. I hope AT plays this week. Yeah, I mean, you and me both. I've been hoping that AT was going to play for several weeks. And NY Giants 26 says DJ has to play like a big boy quarterback, got paid, produce. Yeah, I mean, this is it for DJ, in my opinion. Listen, if DJ doesn't want us to draft the quarterback, I'm assuming he's coming back this week based off of the reports that he was cleared before the game on Sunday. So if that's the case, well, DJ, you got how many games we got left? We got what, 9 games? 9 games left? Giants got to win at least 5 of them. At least. If we win 5 games this year, we're probably taking a quarterback. Got to win at least 6. Daniel Jones has to put the Giants in a situation where they can't take a quarterback. Got to finish the season strong. So it's on him. That's it. If you want to be a franchise quarterback, you can't put the team in a position where they could draft a replacement. So that's on him. He's got to play well, and the Giants got to win at least 5 out of their last 9 games. Won't be easy, especially if they're going to start selling off some of these pieces. Won't be easy. Let's see. What's your feelings on Bo Nix? I want nothing to do with Bo Nix. Nothing to do with him. Every time I watch an Oregon game, it's entirely scheme driven. everything's a quick, no, I want nothing to do with Bo Nix. The strength of that offense, actually, believe it or not, is the run game. He gets the ball out fast, but a lot of the passes are like an extension of the run game. I don't want anything to do with Bo Nix. I don't see a first round quarterback with Bo Nix. Want nothing to do with him. He puts up good stats, but I want nothing to do with him. Let's see. We need to trade the picks we got in return for a wide receiver one. Ski Trauma says. I'd be open to it. I mean, listen, there's a lot of ways to improve this team next year. Let's see what happens throughout the rest of the year. Giant Man says, what does this mean for the cap? There's my light. Next couple of years. It doesn't have much of an effect on the cap the rest of the way. Like, let's look at Leo's contract. Let me pull up his contract. We're $10 million on the hook from the deal, but Leo was still owed, I think, $10 million this year. I know that we have a dead hit next year of 5.9, but we already had that before the trade. So this trade, I mean, all we care about is the 2024 cap. Let's be real. The 2023 cap to us at this point is pretty irrelevant. This team's not going to compete for a Super Bowl this year. So I can't imagine it being more than what it already was. It was he was going to have a $6 million hit next year. I would expect that hit probably to remain. I didn't get the details in terms of how it's going to affect the 2024 cap. I know that we're still responsible for $10 million of the salary. So it's either exactly what it was for 2024 or it's probably less. It didn't get hurt, I don't think, from this trade. I'd be shocked if it did. So, yeah, and even if it did, even if that $10 million was fully against the 2024 cap, wouldn't really bother me, as opposed to the 5.9, which I don't think it is, but it wouldn't bother me. You look at next year, does cap really matter that much next year if you're going to be drafting a rookie quarterback? So I think it was imperative that the Giants were able to get as high of draft compensation as they possibly could. And if it meant eating $10 million of the salary, it was certainly worth it. Let's see. You think so? Yeah, the math kind of adds up, Alvin. You're probably right. They're probably on hook for the 2024 dead hit, but I don't know that for a fact, so I don't want to say it. But either way, it doesn't bother me, even if we are on the hook for it. It doesn't bother me at all. We need to draft talented receivers, but if we're selecting that high, we have to, yeah. If you're selecting that high in a rich quarterback draft class, you're either taking a quarterback or you're trading down. Those are your two options. Those are your two options. Let's see. O-line should be the focus. The O-line should be the focus every offseason. Are you still rooting for wins? I always root for wins. I'm stupid. I always root for wins. That's just me. But I'm not going to knock anybody. For the state this franchise is in, I can't blame anybody for thinking about the draft. So, Cole says, what's so different with the offense this year compared to last year? I mean, I wish I had first off, Andrew Thomas being out is a big thing. Andrew Thomas didn't miss a snap last year, from what I remember. That's a big thing, right? Saquon Barkley missed some time. We've played a tougher schedule. Daniel Jones now has missed some time, but the offense did not look good when Daniel Jones was in there. But and Daniel Jones has not progressed with the way that I think a lot of us thought he would in the time in which he got to play. And Evan Neal hasn't progressed, so it's been a mess. And maybe some teams around the league have gotten, a look at our offense, and we haven't adjusted. Are we signing a backup quarterback? I would think we have to. I don't know who, but I would think we have to. If you look at the field goal by the Jets at the end of the game in slow motion, he missed it. Look again. I thought he missed it on first glance, Jeff. But then when I saw the second and third look, it looked like it went in. I think they showed a close up from inside it went inside the field goal. What I will say, after watching back the missed field goal, and I'm not making any excuses for Gano, he's got to make that kick regardless. It's 34 yards. It's an extra point. He's got to make it. But I will say that was a great play by the Jets, special teams. I think they cheated, and the referees didn't see it, but it was a really good play. If you go back and watch the replay on that extra on the field goal, Will McDonald leaps over the line, which is allowed if you don't touch anybody, which he didn't. But if you go back and watch the replay, the interior defensive lineman actually took his hands and he put it on top of the snapper's back as if to push him down to allow Will McDonald to jump over him without touching his body. Go back and watch the play. That should be illegal. So that and when you watch it, when Will McDonald jumped over him, he got his hand up and he was about to block the kick. And I do think it altered the trajectory of the kick for Graham Gano. So it was a really good special teams play by the Jets, even though it appeared, in my opinion, to be illegal. Let's see. And T says O-line equals weakest area, but quarterback is the biggest need. That's very fair, P. At the end of the day, the quarterback's the most important position. So if it's a need, it's the biggest need. And right now it appears to be a need. Let's see. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was definitely a penalty. It was a good play, but it was a penalty. No, that's not Evan. If you don't the act of jumping over the center is not illegal if you don't touch anybody, which he did not. So that aspect it was not illegal. But what was illegal on that play was the other guy held down the center. He held down the snapper. That's what made the play illegal. Let's see. Jets should not have been able to spike the ball, Chris. Knicks worse than last year. It's too early. I'm not going to panic about the Knicks yet, but even in the loss to the Celtics, which was an impressive loss, even though losses are not impressive, but it was a close game. But even in that game, the Knicks did not shoot well. They're off to a slow start, but it's really early. I'm not going to go crazy yet. It's only 3 games in. Jones is the quarterback next year, no matter what. We need to picture the O-line this offseason, especially if we're drafting the quarterback. Well, I agree that Jones is going to start the year as the quarterback. Even if we draft the quarterback, he's going to start the year as the quarterback. The question is, how long does he stay as the starter, right? If the Giants start DeVito to see what he's got, they're not going to do that. If they start DeVito, it's because they don't feel like Jones is ready to go back out there. But no, they're not going to do that. They know what DeVito is. They showed you yesterday. Fly Park says Giants put the blueprint on how to win in the NFL, in the NFL draft. Defensive line. Now Giants fans want to go away from that. Who wants to go away from that? I don't think anybody wants to go away from that. I mean, we got Dexter Lawrence. We got Kayvon Thibodeau. We certainly need another edge. I wouldn't be upset at all if the Giants took another edge early in next year's draft. That's still a need. You got to continue to improve that line. The pass rush is certainly good, but it's not where it needs to be. It's not an elite unit. The better you can never have enough pass rushers. So I don't think any Giants fan would be upset if we drafted an edge rusher next year, early in next year's draft. It's a need. Azeez Ojulari can't stay on the field. Even if he could, you could use more help at that position. So I'm completely for it, man. I'm completely for it. I think, matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a defensive lineman this year in free agency. If we're going to make one big move, I wouldn't be surprised if we sign a defensive lineman and drafted edge rusher relatively early in next year's draft. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Let's see. I haven't seen the replay, 59. I guess I got to go back and watch it. At first glance on TV, it looked like he was offsides, but I guess I have to go back and watch it. Who would you target for? I have not looked at. I cannot give you that answer yet. I have not looked at free agency. But Toe, if this team's going where I think they're going, here's what I say. Let's just say they do what a lot of people think they're going to do. Let's say they draft the quarterback. The money I'm spending in free agency is going towards the offense. It's going towards the offense. I have to give my quarterback a chance to succeed. Have to get him off on the right foot. So if I could get a wide receiver, if I could get an interior offensive lineman, if I could get a tackle and Chip Neal, whatever money I'm going to spend in free agency in terms of premium dollars is going towards the offense. If I'm drafting a quarterback, I have to give him an opportunity to be able to succeed. Jimmy says Giants should have downgraded to a 3rd-round pick and package Brandon Tierney and Selleck. I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to having Carl on the channel tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll talk about Tierney and Licata. They don't look very good after yesterday. How does Licata? You listening right now? I know you're not, but how does Kayvon Thibodeau's body look after yesterday, or whoever said it? It might have been Tierney, whoever it was. How's his body looking now? Dude had 3 sacks. I'm gonna tell you what. You want to hear a crazy stat? You want to hear a crazy stat? Wink Martindale has been a defensive coordinator in the NFL now for, I want to say, 6 years. He's been obviously a linebacker coach, but in terms of being a DC, he's been a DC now for 6 years. You know how many edge rushers or defensive linemen have had double-digit sacks under Wink Martindale in his entire career as a defensive coordinator? 0. You know how many? And he's had good defensive linemen. You go down, you look at the Ravens, they've had some really good defensive linemen. It's just the type of scheme that he runs doesn't lend itself to high individual sack totals. Kayvon Thibodeau's already got 8.5. He's going to be the first guy in a Wink Martindale scheme to have double-digit sacks, and he's going to do it by mid-season. Kayvon Thibodeau's been a beast, man. He's been a beast. And Fabian says, can you let me know what trades happened today in the NFL? I haven't. Let me look. I don't think there's been any major. I mean, the Leonard Williams trade, I think, was the biggest one. Let me take a look. I don't think there's been any other major trades. I just typed in NFL trades, and every single pop-up is the Leonard Williams trade. I've heard that the Broncos are looking to make trades, but I don't think they've made any yet. I don't think there's been any major trades. I think the Leo trade is the major trade. I skipped the super chat. Who'd I miss? I didn't mean to miss anybody. I got Jimmy. Oh, there you go. Sorry about that one. I didn't mean to miss you, man. Sometimes I miss a chat here and there. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so he says center spotting the ball instead of the ref. Yeah, so basically the explanation I heard on that, I saw Boomer post that on Twitter, and then somebody else explained basically what the rule is and why it wasn't illegal, was that the center was allowed to spot it so long as the ref tapped it. Once the ref tapped the ball with his hand, that I guess in a rush situation like that, it substitutes as the referee spotting the ball. And if you go back and watch it, even though the center spotted the ball, you see the referee rush up and tap the ball with his hand right before the ball is snapped. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that was the explanation, at least the explanation that I heard. Yeah, I was stunned, to be honest with you, because when Zach Wilson first threw that ball, obviously my heart sunk because he caught the ball at like the 20, and then he got tackled down at like the 15. But as soon as he got tackled, I looked at the clock, and I said it on live stream, like, they're not going to be able to spike the ball. He got tackled at like 7 seconds. And incredible job by the Jets to even make that close, to be able to spike that ball. You're talking about running down the field 35 yards. That was actually, in my opinion, that was actually a mistake by Zach Wilson to throw that ball as far as he did. It worked out. They got lucky that they were able to spike it, but they should have probably been trying to hit more along towards the 25-yard line, so they could have run up and had enough time to be able to spike the football. But I was stunned that they were able to stop the clock as quickly as they did when he got tackled down at like the 15, 13-yard line, whatever it was. But that was the explanation. The referee tapped the ball, and that substituted for him spotting it. I don't know. I shouldn't have came down to that. That's what I'll say. Shouldn't have came down to that. Let's see. That's a good point, Shadow. They probably should have. Other teams did. The other team did it to us a couple of weeks ago, right before the half. Dable said that him and Shane are open to picking up a backup like Wentz. Well, they have to be. I don't know if it'll be Wentz, but they have to be open to picking up a quarterback. They don't have one right now. Obviously, they have no faith in DeVito. They have to. They have to pick up another quarterback. Giants will be good in 4 years. I don't know. I've been saying that for the last 10. So I hope they're good in 2 years. I hope they're good next year. But I hope you're right. Chris, what's going on, man? Is there a question limit per person that we could ask Carl for tomorrow? Chris, all I'm going to say is I'm going to try my best. That's why I asked you guys on Twitter some questions that you may want me to ask Carl, because Carl has limited time. When Carl came on my channel, he was nice enough to come on at all. And he even told me before, he's like, I got a half hour. So I tried to get a quality interview done as quickly as I could and to hit home with all the topics that I wanted to talk about. So, I don't know how much time he's going to have tomorrow. So if I miss some of your donations in terms of questions that you want to ask Carl, I'm going to apologize to you guys in advance because he's on a limited time frame. He's not like a guy that just comes on my channel that says, "All right, yeah, I'm going to hang out for the full 2 hours or whatever." I get to what I could get to. I ask him what I think are the most important questions to ask, and if I could get to a few questions in the chat, I will. But I'm just letting you guys know in advance. I'll try. I'll try to get to any questions that you guys may want me to ask him. Let's see. Trade vets, get picks, draft the quarterback, rest of the draft, take defense, spend free agency money on T. Higgins. I would love T. Higgins. Would love him. I don't know what his market's. Well, I know what it's going to be. It's going to be obscene, but I'd love him. You got it, Karen. Any chance we trade? Yeah, I think it's. I won't use the term likely, but Todd, I actually think those are the two most likely players that are going to get traded that still remain on the roster. The two guys you just mentioned. And Pencilman says, Tana, we all know the O-line needs major work. We already had two quarterbacks hurt because of O-line play. Do you think a rookie would do better? No, I don't. But I've given my explanation, and I think it's a valid explanation. At the end of the day, Pencilman, I think like you. You know that if you watch my channel. I'm a massive offensive line guy. Like, I want to fix this line. I think everything this team will start to be consistently good once the line is fixed. I'm not a guy that believes that there's a golden quarterback out there that is just going to fix everything. Can it happen? Yeah. But the odds of it happening are very slim. So I'm with you. But at the end of the day, Pencilman, my reasoning as to why I think they will go quarterback, and I've said it countless times now over the last couple of weeks, and I think it's logical when you think from the mindset of Joe Schoen. If you're picking in the top 4 and it's a rich quarterback draft class, what buys you more job security? At the end of the day, what buys you more job security? If you pass on a quarterback in a rich quarterback draft class and you stick with Jones, who now has had 2 neck injuries, and Jones either struggles next year or gets hurt again and the team bombs, you're out of a job. You're gone. You are gone. If you passed up on elite potential quarterbacks and you rode with Jones another year and this team bombs again, you're fired. If you draft a rookie, all the pressure's off for 2024. There's no expectations. You drafted a rookie. It buys you another year to continue to build your football team. If you're picking in the top 3 or 4 in a rich quarterback draft class, I'd be stunned if he doesn't take a quarterback. Because if I was Joe Schoen and I was thinking about what would give me the most time to build my football team, it's drafting the quarterback in that spot. Even though I think like you, that's where I think Shane would be thinking. What's up, Giants Girl Florida? Thanks for popping in. Chris Clay says, is Kafka on the hot seat? That's a good question. That's a good question. Is Kafka on the hot seat? Yeah, yes, I think he is. As crazy as that may sound to some people that were going into the year. Because here's what I'll say. I think it all boils down to what we're doing in the offseason. But if we're moving on and drafting a quarterback, that's less likelihood or less of a reason to bring Mike Kafka back. So, I think it's an increasingly likely possibility that Kafka could get fired. I don't think the coach will get fired. I don't think Wink will get fired, nor should he. But Kafka's a possibility. The fan base is going to demand blood. Somebody's going to fall. Shoot, Will Levis keeps up playing the way he did yesterday. He might be looking at Joe Schoen a little crazy by the end of the dude. Guy had a good game yesterday. 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns. Let's see. Eli says, I don't know why we were all starting Adore. He always gets burned. I want to trade Adore if we can. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but I'd like to trade him. Being mediocre and picking 9th is worse than accepting that we won't win this season and doing the logical thing with tanking for Shane's quarterback. Let the rookie sit behind Jones and fix the line. I mean, I don't think they're going to tank. I don't think they're going to tank. But what I will say is I think the Giants are going to give the young – Jones is going to play. Jones is going to play. I think when he is cleared, and it seems like he's already been cleared. But I think you're going to see some of the rookies and the younger players get more of a role, which makes sense. You're 2-6. You're going to want these guys to develop over the course of the year, and with that will come rookie struggles. So they may not necessarily be tanking, but they're going to be thinking more along the lines of development as opposed to we need to make sure no matter what, they're thinking more so along the lines of development than thinking about trying to make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to intentionally lose. They're not doing that, but I do think they're going to look to develop their younger players. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Eddie Flanagan says Shane better not take a quarterback this year unless he loves that quarterback. Well, I agree with that. I could only assume if we take a quarterback that early, he's going to love him. I agree with that. You don't just take a quarterback to take one. Well, I guess we just have different definitions of tanking. To me, that's what tanking is. It's intentionally losing. I don't think the Giants are going to intentionally lose. If you have maybe you have a different definition of what tanking is. Nelson says, I don't see it as crazy if we draft a quarterback, but we need so much more than it. Well, of course we do. It's not a 1 year fix. It's not a one position fix. They should move Slayton. I'd be completely for that too. I don't know how much of a market Slayton would have. He hasn't done much this year. Not really his fault. Um, he's an easy cut next year. If he's not traded, he's going to be cut. But if there's any kind of market for Slayton, I'd be open to it at this point. I don't know what you'd be able to get for him. Maybe he is. Listen, I think these next 8, 9 games are going to tell a lot as to what the future of Daniel Jones is going to be. I haven't completely closed the door on him, but I also have to speak about the increasing likelihood and that we could be drafting a quarterback. It's up to him. Got 9 games. See what he can do. Um, Eli says, "Do you think we should spend the second we got from Seattle on a quarterback like Schroeder Sanders?" No, I'm never a guy personally. If you're going quarterback, you don't go for value. That's the one position where you don't go for value. You don't wait till the second round. If you're in a position to draft the quarterback you like, you don't wait on it. You go up and you snag the guy. So no, I'm not a guy. Not many quarterbacks that get out of the first round. Of course, you can find circumstances where it works, but usually you want to draft that guy as early as possible. I'm not a guy that says, "Oh, wait till the second round, maybe we get." No, you like a quarterback, you take a quarterback. Um, let's see. Most of them. I mean, there's certainly examples that aren't. Drew Brees, even though he was an early second round pick, he was a second round pick. Tony Romo was undrafted, very good quarterback. I mean, there's certainly examples. Dak Prescott, third, fourth round pick, whatever he was. But Russell Wilson, I think he was a third round pick. But more often than not, the upper echelon quarterbacks go early. Let's see. Tom Brady's, of course. And Jay Carter says, "This is Lega legacy. I believe in DJ, and I will argue with anyone." I love it. Listen, I love it. I love it. I listen. I try to support the guy as much as I feel like he deserves my support. Hard to support him right now, based off the current circumstance with his football team. But I'm going to read the rest of your super chat. But listen, I'm not going to make fun of you for that. I admire you for sticking with your guy if you believe in him. I don't care what quarterback you put in. If the O line doesn't protect the quarterback, what can he do? I agree with, for the most part, I agree with you so far. Other than run for his life, they protected Taylor, good outcome. I don't even think they protected Taylor. I think this notion, I saw a lot of people bring up this thought process that they protected Taylor. I mean, the O line was a little bit better. Wasn't very good when Taylor was in there either. I got to be fair in my evaluation. Taylor showed more of a willingness to throw the ball down the field. And I don't think Taylor's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. He's not. He's not. Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Tyrod Taylor. But what I think that has happened to Daniel Jones is he's gotten shell shocked. He's gotten a mental clock in his head, and the first second a wide receiver becomes open, he gets rid of the football, and he does not have enough. And I almost can't blame him, but he does not have enough faith in the offensive line that you just mentioned to be able to support him. So he doesn't let plays develop when sometimes they are there to develop. I understand it though, because the line is so bad. But I don't think the line was very good for Taylor either. I just it was maybe a little bit better, but I don't think it was much better. Let's see what we got. And Josh says thoughts on trading a Dory for Elam. Sure, I'd be open to that. For me though, personally, Josh, I think I'd rather just get a draft pick for a Dory and just continue to build through the draft. That's just my personal opinion. But somebody else brought up. Maybe that's a rumor. I haven't heard that, but I think I'd rather just get a draft pick and shed the salary cap. Personally, Demons Rose says I like Danny, but if we're picking the top 10, I don't want to see another Justin Herbert pass us by. Nothing is more valuable than the top quarter. That's just the reality, Demons Row. I'm going to support him as much as I can, and if he remains the quarterback, he's my guy. I'm going to war with my quarterback, and I do recognize that things around him are less than ideal. But at the end of the day, you took the money. It's just the reality of the situation. Fair or not, when you get paid that amount of money, expectations come with it. That's just the truth. And you look around the league, you look at quarterbacks that get paid. Guys that stick with their teams don't allow their teams to draft quarterbacks. Dak Prescott never gave the Cowboys an opportunity to draft a quarterback. Kirk Cousins never gave the Vikings until this year an opportunity to draft a quarterback. And they'll probably draft a quarterback. That's just the reality. Max says, if it was your decision, would you draft a quarterback right now? If we were picking fourth, probably yes. Yes. If I was Shane and I'm thinking from the mindset of a general manager, yes, I would. Let's see. Jermaine says, Big Blue Wrecking Crew, great trade. We actually get Leo a third and a 5. Now, yeah, that's what I said at the top of the stream, Jermaine. We got more for Leo at age 30 than when we gave up to get him when he was age 25. It's crazy. It's wild. Wild. I agree with that. I'm not saying it's fair. Life in the NFL is not always fair. Chris says, moving forward, we need to get a quality O-line coach. I definitely want a quality O-line coach. That's one of our biggest needs. Nick's Nation says, Tana, where do you see another win on the schedule, to be honest? I think we can win a few more games. The defense is good, right? So the defense alone, I think, is going to give us opportunities to win some games. And I do think Jones will come back and play. And say what you want about Daniel Jones. I know most people in this chat don't like him at this point and are ready to move on. Daniel Jones gives you a better chance to win than the quarterbacks that we're throwing out there right now. So when Jones comes back, this defense, if they continue to play the way that they are, I think we're going to win some games. I don't think we're going to lose the rest of our games. I think we'll win some games. I think we can win the Patriots. There's going to be a game that you may not expect that they win. The defense is good. They'll find a way to win a couple of games. I don't think we're going to finish the year 2-15. We might win 5 games. I could see that. I could see 5-12. I think the defense is good. So I think the defense will win a game or two for us alone. Let's see. Jeremy says trade next year's top 3 picks to select 2 offensive linemen in the first round of next year's draft. I wouldn't cry about it. You know that. Um, and Joey G says, I'm leaning towards Marvin Harrison trade second for a quarterback. I mean, Marvin Harrison is incredible. Incredible. So yeah. Good O-line coaches have good O-line talent. I mean, at the end of the day, Brian Dable says it all the time. The players still have to execute. So you need talent. Great coaches need talent to be successful. I agree. But obviously, there's going to be better coaches than others. But I agree. I think a big reason, Craig, I think a major reason why, and I've said it now for weeks, because everybody's screaming to fire our offensive line coach, which I can't. The offensive line is so bad, I can't argue it. How could you argue it? It's awful. So I'm not going to stand in the way with my opinion of that. Yeah, we got to fire him, I guess. The offensive line is dreadful. But I think a major reason why this offensive line has been as bad as it's been for the last 12 years has actually more to do with the coaching than the talent. I think we've had some talented linemen, but I think we've had no consistency. We have not had an offensive line coach that has stuck around. You're constantly changing things. You're constantly changing coaches. Change your blocking technique. We're going to block this way this year. We're going to move this lineman this way this year. We're going to bring in another free agent. You need consistency. You need continuity on the offensive line. So that is a position more so than any other that you need to find a coach and you need to stick with it. Let's see. You survived the bumblebee attack of 2020. You would say one. Well, the O line, dude. It's been needed to be fixed for 12 years. Evan Neal should be moved to guard. He might be great at guard. I agree with you, Army Mom. I'm still at the point where I want to give him the rest of the year at the tackle, but he doesn't show significant progression. I'm in complete agreement with you. I'd move him to the left guard next year. I think that's the best approach. Yeah, Michael. Like I said, I can't stand in the way. I can't stand in the way. I'm firing the offensive line's god awful. Uh, you just need to find a guy that could get it done. Josh says, so you're telling me my over 7.5 wins is dead. Can I see 6 wins maybe? Yeah, I do think 6 wins is possible. I wouldn't predict it at this point, but I do think it's possible. I think our defense is really good. So that alone is going to give us a chance to win some games. So yeah, I mean the Jets are a good team. I don't think they're a good team, and we should have beat them yesterday. You still got the Rams are starting to fall off a bit. They were surprised the first couple of weeks. I think that's a winnable game, and it's at home. You got the Patriots, the Packers off a bye. Those are games you could win. Washington again. So I would say I'm leaning more towards 5 wins, but I wouldn't rule out 6. I don't think you're hitting your over though, unfortunately. I don't think you're getting 8 wins. I don't think you're getting 8 wins. Um, yeah, the Raiders, same thing. I think we stand a good chance to beat the Raiders this year. Chris, anytime on your Carl Banks stream. 8 o'clock. That's the plan right now. It's gonna be Bad Dog, me, and Carl Banks. 8 o'clock. Yeah, so I'll reach out to I'll create the stream early tomorrow. That way there'll be no hiccups. We'll get the StreamYard to Carl Banks on Twitter, and then yeah, we'll get it started by 8 o'clock. That's the plan. And Kevin says, I have a whole family of Jets fans. I'm skipping Thanksgiving this year. Yeah, I'm sure. Listen, though, Kevin, at the end of the day, Jets fans can't really talk off of yesterday. They were horrible. They were horrible. They had that one, that drive at the end of the game, but they couldn't move the ball at all. They were horrible. And Jay says, tattoo like yes, love that guy. Got to meet him. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. Giants tattoo. He's got so this dude, I got to meet him at FanFest or a Giants game. I don't remember. Giants event at the stadium. And he has his whole leg. He's got Giants players' signatures all up and down his leg tattooed. It's cool. Must have like 30 player signatures tattooed in his leg. It was cool. I liked it. It was cool. Why are we not using Hyatt and Hodgins more? I, Hyatt wasn't used at all yesterday. The one thing I'll say about Hyatt, and listen, Jay, obviously Hyatt's biggest strength is his straight line speed, his explosive nature, right? It changes the dynamic of the offense. But they have not used, and Dable kind of hinted at it like a week or two ago when he was asked about the usage of Jalen Hyatt. and he was asked about, how he's progressed as a player, and he kind of downplayed it. He kind of said, "Well, he's still got a lot of work to do." Because when you watch the way that they've used Hyatt, it's been basic, man. It's been all just straight fly route. There has not been much creativity in terms of the usage of Jalen Hyatt. No wide receiver screens, no short crossers over the middle. It's basically been just run as fast as you can, maybe have a double move and try to take the top off the defense. They haven't really gotten creative with Jalen Hyatt at all. And maybe they feel that Hyatt is not advanced enough yet as a route runner. That's possible. But that's something, Jay, that I definitely want to see the New York Giants do more of in the second half of the season is use Jalen Hyatt more than just, is basically a guy that's going to go out and try to catch a 40-yard route. Use him as a guy that could take a slant to the house. See what you have in a young player like that. So I agree. I want to see a lot more creativity with the usage of Jalen Hyatt. They didn't use him at all yesterday. I don't think he got a target. So yeah, I agree with you on that. But maybe they feel he needs another year, maybe he needs to bulk up a bit in the weight room. That's entirely possible. Because he is small. I saw somebody in the chat say that he is small, but I agree with you. I think they should be more creative with him. Hodgins, they haven't used at all. Hodgins invisible. Like he was on the field yesterday. He didn't get any ball. I mean, let's be fair. Nobody got any balls thrown to him. Our leading receiver had 4 yards. But Hodgins has been non-existent all year. And this is a guy that had a ton of production last year. He had 5 touchdowns in 4 games. They're not throwing the guy the football. I don't get it. I don't know. And some of it certainly, I'm sure, has to do with the line. The line's been awful, so it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to complete routes. But it's a great point you bring up, Jay. It's a great point you bring up. Will says, I believe DJ is going to be playing for his job when he comes back. There's a reason a team collects a lot of capital, and that's not to move up and get a quarterback. And that is to move up and get a quarterback. I agree. Yeah, DJ's going to get the last 9 games if he comes back this week to remain on as the starter next year. That's it. At the end of the day, it's on you, Daniel. It's not over yet. It's not written in stone. It's on you. Go out there and look really good the last 9 games. Get the Giants to at least 6 wins. Make it so you're not picking in the top 8, 9, 10. You probably come back. They're contractually obligated to you. There's still a lot of other holes on this roster. If we're not picking top 4, top 5, you're probably coming back. It's on you, Daniel. That's it. Josh says, so I'm dead over 18 and a half touchdowns with Jones. Oh, you're definitely dead with that. You're definitely dead with that, man. You're definitely dead with that. And David says, I think it's possible the team will end the season with 7 wins. It's possible. I'm not predicting that, but it's possible. Just the defense is good, so we have a chance most games when we're not playing elite teams. John says, Tana, need to go out and get an O-line coach like Bill Callahan or Munchak. Pay them whatever and give them an assistant head coach title. Listen, most Giant fans were screaming for the hills when Bill Callahan became available. Didn't work out. We didn't end up getting him. I think he ended up going to Washington, if I'm not mistaken. He's, of course, been a very accomplished offensive line coach throughout the course of his career. I'm all for it. Spend what you've got to spend, in order to get stuff into my system. I'm all for it. Bring the best possible coach you can. So if that's the best guy out there, go out and get him. Let's see. What's the point of winning 7 games? I'm speaking from you may not want that, Joey, but I mean, for Daniel Jones, there's a huge point. To remain employed as the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. So I know you may not want that, but for Daniel Jones, there's definitely a point to it. So, let's see. Let's see. Tana, if we have a chance at a top 5 pick, looking that way, the pick needs to be Drake May. Tired of being we're going quarterback if we're picking that early. Eli says, do you think we could go on a hot streak here, getting some guys back, or it's over? Let me look at our schedule. I'm obviously leaning towards it's not looking good, especially now that we're being sellers. We traded Leonard Williams today. But let me look at our schedule. We play the Raiders. I think we could win that game. That's clearly a game we could win next week. I'm not necessarily saying we're going to win, but we could win. We're not beating Dallas. Get real. We're not winning in Dallas. At Washington, we could win. New England, we could win. Green Bay, we could win. Now, all these games I say that we could win doesn't mean we will win, but we could win. We could win at New Orleans. We will not win in Philadelphia. We will not win against Philadelphia. I see, all right, on our schedule, I see one, two, three, four, I see six could win games. So if they won all of them, you would get to 8 wins, and they're not winning all of them. So I'll split it down the middle. That's why I say I think we're going to win 5. I think we go 3-3 in those could win games. At the Raiders, at Washington, home against New England, home against Green Bay, at New Orleans, home against the Rams. I think we go 3-3 in those 6, and we finish with 5 wins. That's where I'm at. That's what I think is going to happen. That's my prediction right now with this horrible football team. Let's see. Kobe says, "Hi, Chris. Go Raiders. Caleb or May? Caleb for me." Josh says, "So there's a chance." How? We have no quarterback. We have a defense. Jets have no quarterback. They won yesterday. They're 4-3. We have a defense. Um, Dable today looked like he was so dejected and spent. Is his heart still in it? I listen. I think this is the first time since Dable, and I said it. I said it after like week 3, maybe week 4. Dable last year had no adversity, none. This is his first taste of New York adversity. Last year it was rainbows and butterflies. You shocked the world. You never spent a day last year under 500. So you're start. It's not easy. It's not easy when you're in the New York lights and you're constantly getting ridiculed. You saw it with Saquon Barkley in 2021. Honest to God, Army, go back and watch it when you get a chance. Everybody in this chat, go back and watch Saquon Barkley's post game interviews towards the tail end of 2021. The last 5 games, I honest to God thought Saquon Barkley was considering retirement. He looked like he was so depressed and he did not enjoy playing football anymore. Last year, the joy came back because the team started winning. He was mentally recovered and he played better. I'm not shocked that Dable, with the way that this team is playing, is looking the way that he looks. So I'm not surprised by that. It's not fun to lose, especially when you're under as much pressure as Dable is. He's the New York Giants head coach, so I'm not surprised by that. But no, I don't think he's giving up. I think he still wants to be that coach here. Let's see. T says this is not adversity. This is hell. Well, adversity in the NFL is hell. Mike says, I don't want to watch college, but everybody's saying get Williams makes me feel like he's going to be a bust. What do you think? I like Williams. I like Williams. I mean, he's always been a guy that people have talked about, but I like Williams before this year, when I think I first saw him play early last year, and I loved him the first game I saw him. I like Williams. Let's see. D Nice says he'll look happier once he gets real. He'll look happier once we start winning games. However, he does it. I don't think he cares who's playing where once we start winning games. Fabian says we will beat the Eagles. Fabian, I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. But do me a favor after the stream, Fabian. I don't want you to do it here because I don't want you to get in trouble. After the stream, Fabian, message me on Twitter if you follow me. I think you do. I need your weed guy's number. I need a hookup because you must be smoking a ton of it right now. So after the stream, go on Twitter and get me your weed guy's number. We'll talk after the stream because there's no way we're beating the Philadelphia Eagles. I love you, buddy. I love you, buddy. Let's see. Let's see. We couldn't spike the ball against. I know. Eddie says Caleb Williams had a quote about the Lions and sheep after the Notre Dame game, so he'll fight right in. Yeah, he will. We're definitely beating the Eagles. I'm his plug. Need to trade one of our players for a first round. Who you trading for a first round pick? Who are you gonna be able to trade for a first round pick? The only guy that you could trade for a first round pick maybe is Saquon, but I don't think you're getting a first round pick for Saquon. He's a running back. He's a free agent next year. He's shown injury, continued injury history this year. I think at best you get a second round pick for Saquon. You're not getting a first round pick for anybody on this roster. I mean, if we do that'd be great, but I don't think we. I would not trade Saquon for less than a second, but I don't think you would get a first for him. Let's see. And Samuel says percentage that Shane and Dable are both here. 100%. 100%. I'm going out on the limb. 100%. I'm going to tell you this right now. If John Mara, I don't care what you guys in the chat want. I don't care what the fans want. If John Mara fires Brian Dable or Joe Shane after this season, John Mara should step down as owner for the New York Giants. That's how strongly I feel that these guys should be back. If he fires either one of them this year, he should step down as owner for the New York Giants. And to be honest with you, he probably should step down anyway. But if he fires either one of those guys, he should step down as owner for the New York Giants. I think it would be a moronic decision. Moronic decision. Um, and let's see. Tana, you don't think a team who gets a ring with adding Saquon for a first round pick isn't a trap? I mean, listen, if we get a first round pick, swing for the fences, go and get it. I just don't think it's going to happen. I'll back you on that 100%, Bill says. Yeah. All we need is a decent offense. Defense is young and up and coming studs like Banks, KT, McFadden, Daxio, Carrick, and X. Need a wide receiver and line. I still believe in DJ. Hey, man. I hope whoever's the quarterback next year. I just hope we improve the team. If DJ's back and he's the starter, let's just continue to improve the team. As much as I don't agree, you're right. You can't fire these guys, but Dable's not helping that statement. Listen, it's not always easy to come on here and say, I know the fan base is pissed. And what I'll say about Dable, I see it too. Yesterday, I'm gonna be completely fair. I after I had like 10 minutes, obviously when Bad Dog's screaming and venting during the game, you're just like, okay. But after he left and I had 15 minutes to think about it, I'm like, no, I think Dable actually made the right decision, kicking the field goal. I know that's a very unpopular decision, and a lot of Giants fans want to show him to show aggressiveness there. But I will say there are a lot of instances this year where Dable has not shown aggression where I felt like he should. A key example was the 4th and 1 inch. I think it was like 3 weeks ago, at like the 20-yard line. There's been several other instances where he has not shown aggression where I feel like he should. So I get it. I get the frustration from the fans, but he should not be fired. You got to give this guy some time, man. You can't keep firing coaches after 2 years. It's ridiculous. Give me one reason why DJ was the right signing. It will get Dable fired. This year, Dable's not getting fired. Here's what I'll say. Listen, I'm going to say it. It may not have been the right signing. In my opinion, it was really the only signing that they could have done in the world of reality. If we're not speaking in the world of Madden and we're speaking in the world of reality, it was the only signing they could have done. You could argue tag. That's fair. People have brought that up. But the key to that signing for me was they left themselves an out if everything went to hell, which this year it has. It's allowed them to pivot. It's allowed them to pivot. What was the other choice? Tell me the other choice. Tell me the other choice. Don't tell me Tyrod Taylor is going to be a quarterback next year after you just won a playoff game and Daniel Jones led the league in interception percentage. Tell me the option. Don't tell me Marcus Mariota. Tell me a realistic option. You weren't going to trade up and give up multiple first-round picks to move into the top 5 to draft a quarterback. So tell me the realistic option. What was the option? Let's see. Wentz? No, no, not one. Come on, come on. Let's see. Let's see. DJ is plenty good enough to win with an average team around him. We saw that last year, but the Lunatics don't want to remember. Lamar was the only. Well, he wasn't an option though. Bluegrass. Lamar was signed. He was signed, right? So he wasn't an option. And David says this season has been terrible, but I will soldier on. I will always root for this team, and we'll keep watching you and Bad Dog Exchange. Always bleed blue. At least the Devils are playing better. Phillies choke, damn it. David, I love you for being a dire Giants fan. And I also love that you're upset about your Phillies because I'm a Mets fan. Not that I'm happy that you're upset, but I could never root for the Phillies. As far as hockey goes, I'm not a big hockey guy, but I guess I root for the Rangers or Islanders, but I'm not a big hockey guy. But hey, listen, I bleed blue. Listen, I started YouTube in 2018. That's how you know I bleed blue. This thing has been god awful ever since. I still somehow find a way to talk about this team when I can. JC says if you go for it, you run out more clock, plus have the chance of a first down. Here. All right, let's talk about the scenario, JC. Let's talk about the scenario because I think it's an interesting topic, and I talked about it at the end of my live stream yesterday. If you guys weren't in my live stream, let's talk about the decision. Let's get to your chat here. If you go for it, you run out more clock, plus they have the chance for a first down. Either way, they have to march downfield to score if they stop the 4th and 1. Let's talk about the decision. First off, you don't run more clock because you're going to run 4 or 5 seconds on a field goal attempt. I think they run 4. It would have been 4 or 5 seconds if you ran the ball. Same clock comes off. So that's rip that up. That's not an argument. The biggest pro for going for it is you could end the game, like you said, if he gets it. Now I'm going to tell you why I think there's a strong argument not to go for it. The Giants yesterday were 2 of 19 on 3rd down conversions. 2 of 19. And in that situation, in 4th and a yard or a yard and a half, you are getting a stacked box. And there is a major difference between if going for it and not getting it and making the field goal. If you make the field goal, they have to score a touchdown to win the game. That's a lot different than having to go down the field and obviously tie the game with a field goal if you don't get it on 4th down. Let's also be fair, JC. If the Giants missed the 4th and 1 and they went for it, as well as I do, every talking head and every Giants fan that is ridiculing the decision that Dable made would have said, how did you pass up the opportunity at an extra point? Because that's what the field goal was. It was 34 yards to make it a 6-point game. Everyone would have said it. And the way I look at it, JC, is it's a game of percentages. Graham Gano for his career is 95% as a Giant. I don't know about for his full career. As a Giant in terms of extra points. Granted, I know he hasn't been himself this year. Granted, I know he's banged up. Granted, I know it's raining. But it's still at least a 75% chance he's making that kick. It's an extra point. If he can't make that kick, he shouldn't be on the field. And maybe that's the case. And maybe we'll find that out this week. But if I was Dable, I would have done the same thing. I would have said to myself, there's a 75%, 80% chance he's going to make the kick, at least. And there's maybe a 50% chance we're going to convert if we go for it on 4th down. So that's my line of thinking. And it's also a situation where I could see both sides of it. And if they, and that's why I can't really fault the decision that Dable made. I think it was a decision where no matter what he chose, if it didn't work out, he was going to get destroyed. So that's my opinion on it. But if I was Dable, I would have kicked the field goal. That's the God's honest truth. I would have kicked the field goal. Let's see. Let's see. The reason DJ had a good season last year is because we spent most of the season in the AFC North. I mean, the AFC North's not horrible. Not horrible. You see Gano struggle all season. He missed previously bad. Then that's fair. But I've also seen the team not being able to pick up 3rd downs all game, 3rd and shorts all game. I thought there was more of a chance we'd make the field goal than we'd pick up the 4th down. God's honest truth. Um, let's see. They gave what's the biggest disappointment for you? The Mets or the Mets? Mets. Mets. I understand the decision, but I would rather live or die with say, and I get it. That's why I wouldn't freaked out either way, Eddie. I would have understood if they went for it. I would have been like, yeah, I get it. You were trying to win the game right there. But I also understand the decision to kick the field goal. The bigger argument for me to it doesn't win you the game, JC, but it more or less wins you the game. They're not going to go 75 yards, or you have to figure they're not going to go 75 yards in 20 seconds without a timeout. So it more or less wins you the game. Um, but I think the bigger argument for me was the weather because I would have said to myself, there's a higher probability there could be a missed snap, a bad snap. It wasn't in terms of missing the kick for me. Making of the kick was a high percentage play there. It was an extra point. I would have worried about a missed snap because of the weather, stuff like that, which is why I would have it was kind of 50-50 for me. I would have been happy. I would have been okay with either decision that Dable made there. Where I disagree more so, there's two decisions in that game where I disagree a lot more than what fans are talking about. I'm okay with his decision on the field goal there. Obviously, when he doesn't get it, everybody's going to play Monday morning coach and they're going to go crazy. I thought he should have went for it on the first 4th and 1 rather than kick the field goal because it was a much further field goal. It was like 10 yards further, maybe 15, whatever it was. I thought they should have went for it there. And the other mistake that I thought he made, and I know that this is unconventional thinking, in the overtime, the way that that game was being played, and this never happens, and I fully recognize that. But the way that game was being played, the fact that the Jets offense couldn't move the ball, the fact that the Giants offense couldn't move the ball, it was a game of field position. You knew the second the Giants got the football in overtime, they were going to go 3-and-out. Offense couldn't move the ball. We couldn't throw. So I would have said if I was Dable, as crazy as this sounds, there's a better probability we're going to win this game in overtime if we kick off. Why? Because maybe the defense causes a turnover. Maybe they get a sack and you get better field position. Maybe the Jets commit a holding penalty. But I would have said to myself, there's a better chance that we're going to win this game if we kick off to the Jets and we force the Jets into a 3-and-out and they have to punt and we get the ball maybe at the 35 or 40 as opposed to the 25. I would have trusted my defense more than the offense. That's how anemic it was in that game. I actually would have kicked off to start the overtime if I was Dable. Fabian says it's called Madden mentality, clouding these heads. Are you talking? Yeah. Oh, in terms of what? Let's see. But how many times did we see Saquon get stopped behind the line this year and lost year? I like to call the kick. That's how I felt too. Brandon says you're right. Receiving the ball in overtime was a terrible decision too. Let's see. Simon says, "What up, bud? What are your thoughts on the quarterback situation?" I think that right now for the rest of the year, Jones has got to be the guy. Jones is the quarterback going forward, in my opinion, for the rest of this year. But next year, if we are picking in the right spot, I don't think. I think we will be drafting a quarterback. That's how I feel. But it all depends on where we're going to be picking. Payback says Dable's a second-year head coach, and he isn't perfect. No, he's not. Coaches make mistakes, man. Coaches make mistakes. You're never gonna. Every coach is gonna make mistakes. You're never gonna completely agree with everything that the coach does. And I think he made some mistakes in that game. But the funny thing is that I actually agreed, or at least maybe the term agree isn't right. I strongly understand the decision he made to kick the field goal in that spot. Let's see. Army says, how many games did Dable cost us this year? I have two that I can think of. Fair. Fair. You could certainly say yesterday he was a big. I won't say he was the only reason. At the end of the day, let's be fair. He had a third string quarterback out there, but he didn't have his best game yesterday. You could definitely argue yesterday, and you could argue the Bills game. You could argue not running it on at the 1 yard line. That was probably the higher percentage play there rather than having Tyrod throw up a jump ball to Darren Waller in the back of the end zone. Um, that's fair. Didn't cost us the Cowboys game. We were going to lose that game no matter what. We were going to lose the 49ers game no matter what. We're going to lose the Dolphins game no matter what. But you can argue the last 2 games. Yeah, you could certainly argue that. Let's see. Now that I could calm down, I understand the field goal, but come on. That's hey, fair. Let's see. And Simon says, should talk more. The defense is really good. I've been saying it throughout the stream, Rudy. Simon says, so you're thinking about tanking. You think, no, I'm not thinking about tanking. No, I didn't say that. I do not want to tank. But what I'm telling you is I expect this team not to win a lot of games. And if they're picking where I think they're going to be picking, I think a quarterback is very much in play. Kuda says, I don't understand people blaming the games on KT for offsides or Gano. Hello, we scored 10 points. And we have been last a few games. No, not more mad about that. Well, Kuda, let's be fair. As far as KT, I'm not blaming the game on KT at all. The offside penalty was a crucial penalty, and hopefully that's something that he learns from and never happens again in that point in the game in that situation. But I'm not blaming the game on KT. KT was one of the 3 biggest reasons why we should have won the game. Probably the biggest reason why we should have won the game. Him or Dexter Lawrence. But what I and Barkley, those are probably the 3 biggest guys, right? Why we should have won the game. But I think you could certainly blame Graham Gano. How and I know Graham Gano is widely popular. I love the guy. I consistently say he's one of the most underrated kickers in the NFL. I consistently say he's been one of the 10 most important players on the New York Giants over the last 2 years, and he's widely overlooked by a lot of Giants fans. How can you not say that Graham Gano was a major reason why the Giants lost the game? He left 6 points on the field. He missed 2 gimme field goals. How is Graham Gano not a major reason why we lost the game? He was the biggest reason why we lost the game. Let's be real. And Mike says, remember when they said KT was a bust? Now he's second in the league in sacks. He's been awesome this year. He's been awesome this year. He's been awesome this year. What's up, Anthony, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Why? That's fair, but he's playing. And if he's playing, I expect him to make extra points. And JC says, prevent the hurts us too. If you blitz and force a bad throw, but the prevent helped them throw long, had time. A Dory man just couldn't turn around. Yeah, I didn't like they didn't look like they it didn't look like they uh it looked like they kind of let off the gas a little bit in terms of their aggression down the stretch of that game. They were ultra aggressive throughout the course of the game, but in the overtime and that last drive, they weren't. And I understand it to an extent. There's 20 seconds left. You don't want to let a big play come over your head. And at the end of the day, that strategy would have worked. Let's be honest. If Kayvon Thibodeau doesn't jump off sides, even with the completion to the 50-yard line, the clock doesn't stop. And they have no timeouts. The clock would have ticked down like 7 seconds. They would have to spike the ball, and you would have been left with maybe one attempt and only if they were able to get it out of bounds, because you wouldn't have had enough time, more than likely, to spike it, because you would have to run up and waste 10, 12 seconds to spike the ball in the first throw. So it would have worked had Kayvon not jumped off sides. Let's be real. So I understand a little bit of zone coverage there on that last drive where there was 25, 24 seconds left, whatever it was. But in the overtime, yeah, they were not showing enough aggression in that overtime. I agree with you. And Adory's got to do a much better job on that play. He's got to turn his head. No, Kuda, that's fair. That's fair. We didn't. The offense was horrible. I got to go back. Listen, he was called offsides. I got to go back and watch the replay. He was called offsides. Maybe it was a bad call, but he was called offsides. And I'm by no means am I bashing Kayvon. Kayvon was our best player in the field yesterday, but that was a crucial play. Do you think the Giants draft Caleb Williams if we get yes? Easy answer. Do you think insert any team's name here drafts Caleb Williams if they get the number 1 pick? Yes. And You said, "Sorry, Chris, wasn't trying to say you." Oh, no, I know that. But you don't think this offensive line won't eventually mesh when we get AT? No, I don't. Honestly, so I think it'll be better, but I still think it's the offensive line that has a lot of holes in it. Max says, "Coaching isn't why we lost. Personnel is. If Gano is hurt, need a different kicker. If DeVito can't be trusted to throw, need a different backup." That's facts. But to be fair, Max, and you're right. But to be fair, Max, I do think there is there's reasonable criticism to be had though for the coach then, if I'm being fair. And I do not want to run Dable out of town. I'm the furthest thing from that. I want Dable to be here for at least the next 2 years after this. But as the coach, and I guess as far as Gano goes, the doctor wrote off on it. What are you supposed to do? I guess you could certainly say that. But then the coach has got to be prepared for that. The coach has to have a backup quarterback in there that he feels more confident in, whether that be signing somebody off free agency. So I do get the fan backlash when it comes to those two topics in terms of the coaching. And Alpha says, imagine if we lose a Super Bowl in that way. In what way? The way we lost yesterday? It would be horrible. Losing a Super Bowl in any way would be horrible, but especially in a way like that. Let's see. I agree, Max. I agree because you can make an argument for all the things that people are arguing against that it was reasonable decisions, most of them at least, that Brian Dable made. You can make an argument either way with some of these 50-50 decisions that he made. So I agree. If we had a guy that wasn't hurt and could kick field goals, we would have won the game. Do you actually believe we need a quarterback though? Like, do you think Jones is the answer? I want to believe in Daniel Jones so bad, man. I do. I want to believe in Daniel Jones so bad. I want to look like the biggest idiot in New York Giants history because you all know I hated the draft pick. I want him to work out so bad, but I have to be fair, man. I have to be fair. And no, my brain is telling me right now that he's not the guy. And and there's only five. I've said this several times now. There's only like four or five, maybe six quarterbacks that are irreplaceable in the NFL. He's not one of them. If you have an opportunity to draft a young quarterback with upside, you take him if you're picking that high. That's how I feel about it. Even though I don't think the quarterback is the primary problem right now with this team. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. Um, let's see. Pistol Pete says, not sure why no one is blaming Saquon for going down on third down with room to run untouched. I think that was that third down, Pete, or was that maybe it was third down? I thought it was first down. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was the first I thought it was the first down play where Saquon. It looked to me like I think it was a first down play where he got like 6 yards, and it looked like he fell down to the ground. He could have easily got 8 or 9. But maybe it was the third down play. I thought it was the first down play. Let's see what we got. Pete, what's going on, man? He says, Tana, info on the Williams trade. It's spread out into 24. They use the void year and the signing bonus. So they have 4.6 million added this year to the cap and lose 4.6 next year. Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the contract before this trade today, Pete, it was going to be 5.9 against the cap next year. So, um, yeah, it's listen, the cap was going to be affected next year if they didn't trade him. So it's a great move. You get a second round pick out of it. It was great. It was a great trade. Listen, say what you want about Joe Shane. The guy. You know that Joe Shane is smart. You may not agree with everything the guy does. You're never going to agree with everything a general manager does. He's pretty smart in terms of the way that he values players. He doesn't force trades. I've been impressed with Joe Shane thus far. Eagles Nation says, as an Eagle fan, Daniel Jones is a Josh Allen ceiling. The Giants should keep him, maybe even give him another contract. Yeah, I'm sure you feel that way. Let's see. Let's see. Who had a better career, Eli Manning or Big Ben? Um, you have to go Big Ben. You have to go Big Ben. Um, if you play the what if scenario, you could certainly argue Eli. If you say to yourself, if all things were equal and Eli had what Ben had, who would have been the better quarterback? If Ben was in the Giants situation and Eli was in the Steelers situation, who would have been the better quarterback? Because Ben Roethlisberger throughout his entire career had a top five defense and he had a top five offensive line, pretty much start to finish his entire career. Eli Manning didn't have that. So if you play the what if game, you could argue Eli Manning. But if you're just asking me who had the better career, you have to say Ben. Um, I think there was a strong argument to be had up until the year 2012. Their first 8 years in the league, Eli was the best of the three. But then obviously the Giants failed Eli, and Ben had a really strong second half of his career. So, and they both won 2 Super Bowls. So I think you have to go Ben. But I strongly believe if you put Eli Manning on the Steelers, he would have been much better statistically than he was with the New York Giants. Big Moo says first still want DJ, but do you think they would give up a top 5 pick and 1 or 2 of our second round picks to get Caleb? Here's the thing with Caleb, man. If Caleb is as good as people are making him out to be, you're not going to be able to trade up to get him. Name me an instance in the history of the NFL outside of Eli Manning who forced a trade. It wasn't like the Chargers were like, oh, we can't wait to trade Eli Manning. Eli said, I'm not playing for you because your organization sucks. Name me a quarterback in the history of the NFL that was and John Elway, who also forced the trade, that was a unanimous number 1 overall pick in the draft where the team traded him away when they weren't forced to trade him. Name it. I don't think you can. Peyton Manning, no doubter. He was drafted first. Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck. The teams don't trade out of those picks. So whoever has the first overall pick, John Elway forced the trade, though, Mr. Sister. Forced the trade. So outside of that, and I don't see Caleb Williams doing that, especially with the amount of money with these rookie contracts nowadays. It's different than it was in 1984. Now there's a structured contract for each position where you're drafted. So I don't see it happening. I think whoever has the first pick is getting Caleb Williams. And Talking Eco says, hey, Dan, a disappointing season, but Dable and Shane might now be committed to a full rebuild. Folks, we are not firing Shane and Dable no matter what happens. I agree with both. Joe Burrow was the first pick. There was no trade involved with Joe Burrow. He was the first pick. Well, you know what? Well, no, but to me, Bryce Young wasn't a unanimous number 1 pick, but there was a trade. There was a trade up for that, but he wasn't like a unanimous number. I was obviously, everybody's going to say, oh, well, you say that now. No, I thought CJ Stroud was the best quarterback in this year's draft. So there was a strong debate as to who was the best quarterback in this year's draft, whether it be Stroud or whether it be, I'm talking about a situation where it was a no doubter. This guy is definitely the best quarterback in this draft. You don't see it. The team takes him. They don't trade out of the pick. And the Chef's Way Solar says football is a team sport. DJ's the guy, but Gawinski, Bredesen, and Neal are not the guys. It all starts up front. You're not gonna get an argument from me as far as the offensive line goes. That's where the success of a team starts. Pistol Pete says, sorry, I meant first down with Saquon. You're the best, man. By the way, don't like the whole Dable being on the hot seat. It's been Murphy's Law this year, AT, DJ, JMS. I agree with you, Pete. But by the same token, you could say the same thing about Joe Judge. And obviously, I'm not advocating for Joe Judge. I'm glad we moved on. But you could say the same thing about Joe Judge if you're being completely fair. And we rushed Joe Judge's ass out of town. Joe Judge, I mean, think about it. Let's be real. That year, the Giants were 4-6, and then everything went to hell. Daniel Jones gets hurt, and the team just fell apart. Like, they didn't have a chance to win, and we ran him out of town. So Murphy's Law and things going wrong doesn't always mean that your coach is protected from being fired. But I think what will definitely save Dable for all the people that want to run him out of town and this, that, the other thing, the thing that's going to preserve his job is the fact that he came in with Joe Shane. Ultimately, I think the thing that cost Joe Judge his job was the fact that we knew we were going to have to hire a general manager because we were moving on from Dave Gettleman, and there was no way in hell you were going to force Joe Judge on that general manager. So the fact that Shane stays means Dable's safe. They came in together. They're boys. So that's the mega difference between Judge and Dable in terms of job security, at least in my opinion. Let's see. Chris says, what's going on with your Super Bowl pick with the 49ers? Is it Purdy showing why he was Mr. Irrelevant? Yeah, listen, I'm a huge 49ers guy. I pretty much pick them every year before the start of the year to go to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. I think the last 3 years they've been my pick. I just think they have like the most complete football team. But listen, they've had some injuries. Debo got hurt. McCaffrey looks like he's good to go. He played really well yesterday. I don't know, to be honest with you. There's something going on with the 49ers. They lost to, well, the Bengals are a good team. I know they didn't start off good. So I wouldn't even necessarily consider that a really bad loss, but the Vikings loss was horrendous. I was stunned that they lost that game. And right now, yeah, the 49ers do not look like the team that they looked like over the first 5 weeks. We'll see how they rebound over the rest of the course of the year, but they've definitely been a shocker these last couple of weeks. I think they'll rebound, though. I just think their team is too good. Steve says, Chris, something to think about. When that son of a bitch caught the pass, leaving a second on the clock, why didn't you just let them run? Why tackle him so quickly? He runs for a few more yards. Steve, I agree with you. And after I watched the replay, I actually, in my head, Steve, I said the same exact thing. But to be fair, Steve, and I'm sure you've played sports before, in the heat of the moment, all you're thinking about as a guy is running towards the end zone is get this guy down on the ground. But yes, I agree with you. Watching the game back during the replay, I said to myself, why couldn't they let that guy run another 6 or 7 yards and tackle him at the 8-yard line? The game would have been over. I had the same exact thought process in my head. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But in the heat of the moment, you're not thinking about the clock. You're looking at the guy running towards the end zone, and you're saying to yourself, I got to bring this guy down. He can't take it to the house. But I understand where you're coming from because the same thought process popped in my head today when I watched the replay. What's up, Ms. Riley, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. The other thing I'll say, Steve, when I was watching that game back, that go back and watch the game. And I didn't say it on stream, but I noticed it. And but in my head, I'm like, the game's over, so it's kind of irrelevant. I don't really care. But there were times in the last 3, 4, 5 minutes of that game where DeVito, maybe it wasn't that late in the game, maybe it was 7 minutes in the game, but clearly the Giants' objective at that point, they're not throwing the ball, is to milk as much time off the clock as possible. There were times in the second half of that fourth quarter where DeVito, when the clock was running, snapped the ball with like 18 seconds on the play clock. I think there was multiple times, like 2 or 3 times. And you think about that. That's like a minute that they could have wasted. It's just clock awareness. And I don't know if that falls more on Dable or the quarterback, but little things like that cost you football games. And yeah. What's up, Miz? Good to see you, man. If you get a 3rd, 4th, and 7th for Barkley, do you pull the trigger on him? Yeah. No, I think I need a second, personally. I need a second. Why even be a Giants fan at this point? Why even be a Giants fan at this point? I don't know. I wish I could give you. I wish I could give you an answer for that. I really do. I wish I could give you like a logical answer for that. The emotional answer is easy. I love them. You know, not that I would ever compare a sports team to a child, but it's the same thing with your child. If your child goes out and commits a crime, you love them. They're still your child. It for me, it's the same thing with the Giants. It's an emotional attachment. Logically, I should run as far away as possible from this team and never look back. That's how poorly they've been run over the last 12 years. But I love them. That's the only answer. That's it. I love them. And to be fair, out of all the teams that I love, as bad as it's been, they've given me the most happiness. I'm a Met fan and I'm a Knicks fan. They're the only team that's ever brought me a championship. And let's see. The Chiefs Way Solar says, why isn't anyone talking about Taylor costing the game? The idiot threw himself a pass and was hurt falling on the ball. I mean, I never want to rag on a guy for getting hurt. Injuries are part of the game. The guy got hurt. I don't want to rag on him for that, man. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Players get hurt. There were players in the Jets that got hurt. Daniel Jones got hurt. I understand. I guess it was a foolish play. You want to say, but he got hurt. I'm not going to kill him for that, man. The guy got hurt trying to make a play. Let's see. The Gorn says, wasn't it for a second and a fifth a month ago, Gabagool? Who? Saquon Barkley you talking about? I would trade Saquon for a second, Gorn. I wouldn't trade him for a third. I'd trade him for a second if that's what you're talking about. We just got if you're talking about the Leo trade, yeah, that's what we got. We got a second and a fifth, Gabagool. Uh Gabagool. Let's see. You think we win that game if Jones was in the game? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Philip says this live session has given me some good therapy. We're in it through the thick and thin. One thing I'll say is once we win our next Super Bowl, we're going to feel amazing. I agree with you, Philip. When I'm going to tell you what, when I'm in a wheelchair and I'm shitting in my pants with my adult diapers on and I'm like 93 and I'm still doing these and I'm hooked up to an IV in my hospital bed and I'm calling the games with you guys live on YouTube and the Giants win their next Super Bowl, we are going to be partying in here like it's 1969. It's going to be unbelievable. I can't wait, man. I can't wait, Phil. Uh, let's see. You never seen your team win the Super Bowl. What is he, a Jets fan? If you weren't, let's see. Yeah, Bad Dog won't have to take bathroom breaks. Let's see. YouTube user says, with a healthy AT and Neal at guard, we could be dominant on the left side and get best tackle in the draft. It's clearly that I listen. I am all for getting a tackle in this year's draft. I'm all for it. Whether they get it in the first round, second round, you know that. I'm never going to bash them for taking a tackle early in the draft. T says DeVito quick snap equals once equals player, twice equals coach. Yeah, I mean, DeVito shouldn't even be playing in the NFL. I think that we found that out yesterday. He's an undrafted quarterback for a reason. My dad says, explain the thought process why we to go for it versus not going for it on the fourth and one yesterday. Would they have only had 3 seconds left if we run the clock down? Yeah, I actually talked about that earlier, my dad, and I know a lot of people disagree because I obviously seen the backlash that Dable got. I talked about that earlier, and I think it's a logical conclusion that he came to kicking the field goal. I do. I think it was a very reasonable decision. I think both decisions would have been reasonable. The time in the clock is irrelevant. You're going to waste around the same amount of time kicking the field goal or going for it. Both plays are going to take about 4 or 5 seconds. So that's out of the window. The only thing you lose in terms of not getting it, whether it be the field goal or whether it be not picking up the fourth and one, the only thing you lose is the 7 extra yards that you're backed up for the field goal attempt. So there's 7 yards closer to a field goal if you miss the field goal. The time is irrelevant. You're going to lose about the same amount of time for either situation. You make the field goal, you go up 6. You force them to have to score a touchdown with 20 seconds left after they return the kick, right? Because they probably would have kneeled it down. So about the same time, 24 seconds left and no timeout. I have to expect my kicker to make an extra point. That's what it was. It was a 34-yard field goal. The biggest argument against it for me is the weather and the fact that you worry about a missed snap and whatever else it may be. But I think there was equal risk to both decisions. And I actually think the higher percentage play was the field goal attempt. That's honestly what I feel. I think there was a higher probability that Gano would have made an extra point than we were going to pick up a yard and a half on fourth down. My honest opinion. And Hamilton says, "You stay loyal, win or lose. I couldn't look myself in the mirror screaming, 'Go Vikings' or some other." No, dude. I'm with this team till I'm in the grave, dude. Joey, be good, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Thanks for popping in the stream. Timothy says, "You are seemingly the only one that I've listened to that logically broke down the 4th and 1 call." I don't know. To be honest with you, I haven't listened to I worked this morning. I haven't listened to anybody else's opinions on the 4th and 1 call, but I think it makes sense. Like, I think you could make logical sense as to why Dable did what he did. I know everybody, and I get it. I want to show. I want him to show balls. I was as pumped as everybody last year when we went for 2 against the Tennessee Titans. It's what I wanted them to do. Go back and watch the live stream. I said at the Bad Dog with 10 minutes left in the game. I said we should go for 2 if the game's with a minute left, if we have a chance to take the lead. That's what we did. It's what I wanted them to do. But in that situation, I would have kicked the field goal. So I can't kill Brian Dable for it. We were 2 for 19 on 3rd down. 2 for 19. How could you honestly say that you thought there was more than a 50% chance that we were going to pick that up? And Connor says, we can't go into next year with a real number 1 receiver, without a real number 1 receiver. We say that every year. I hope we could get one, whether that be in the draft or whether that be, in free agency or trade. I hope we get one because we certainly don't have one right now. Let's see. My draft order: 1 quarterback, first guard. I mean, Max, I never like to say positions we need to draft before the draft starts, but those are all needs that you brought up. I'm still shocked we did 2 throws with DeVito, and it was the same 2 plays. Yeah, that Swins. As I said earlier, my biggest gripe with Dable yesterday was the overtime. The overtime. I thought the overtime, the way he handled the overtime was awful. I know it's unconventional. Like I said earlier, I would have kicked off. I would have kicked off, and I gave my reasons as to why, and I think it's logical. The other thing, you clearly have not shown that you have any faith in DeVito the entire game since he entered the game. Understandably so. Bad weather conditions, great Jets defense, or at least a very good Jets defense. You're missing Darren Waller. Understandably so. So what do? On the first play in overtime, you throw the football. After Saquon Barkley's been running down their throats when they've known we had to run the football, you throw on first down. I didn't get it. So I'm not saying Dable's blameless in this. I just think the thing that most people are getting at him for, I actually agreed with the decision, or at least thought it was a reasonable decision. Let's see. MJ says, want to say thanks. Best place to talk Giants. You're fair, insightful, and down to earth. Makes me miss the East Coast of my Italian crew. I appreciate that, MJ, man. Thanks for popping in the stream, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, they ran like the same 3 swing passes in a row, Eddie. The overtime was really where I had a lot of gripes with Dable. Before that, I get it. I get it. But the overtime, he kind of lost me a little bit. Greg, man, thank you very much, man. Tater, the writing is on the wall. Looks like the Jones era is over. There are key pieces being dealt, as well as Jones isn't a Shane guy. Jones can't stay healthy, period. I can't argue any of that. There's still 9 games left, and Jones still has a chance, Greg. Still has a chance, but I'm leaning more towards it's coming to an end. But he still has a chance. There's 9 games. Things can happen. If the team wins 5 out of the next 9 and they finish with 7 wins, Jones, once again, puts them in a situation where they're probably not going to be able to draft an upper echelon quarterback. And there's so many other holes on this team where you look to fill one of those where you are still contractually obligated to Daniel Jones. So there is still an avenue for Jones to remain on as the starter next year, and we will not draft his replacement. But, Greg, I would be lying to you if I said it's not trending that way because I don't see us winning 5 out of the next 9. I see us winning 3 out of the next 9. And I see us finishing with 5 wins. And I see us picking top 5 in a rich quarterback draft class. And if we're picking top 5 in a rich quarterback draft class, I think we're going quarterback. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion because I didn't think the Giants were going to win 9 games last year, and they did. But if the Giants don't win at least 7 games, yeah, I think there's a good chance Daniel Jones will be replaced. He will still, of course, be on with the team because of his contract, but I think we will be drafting his replacement. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Let's see. One thing the Giants offense really needs to improve on going forward, besides the O-line, is their wide receiver and blocking. No doubt about it. Well, yeah, DB, they're definitely keeping Jones. They have to. There's no point in not keeping him. He's going to be on the roster, and he'll be the starter to start the year, I would think. And then you will make the transition if you draft a quarterback if they go that route. What commercial? What commercial should Jones do in 2 years? I think Jones, if he was going to pick a commercial to do, this is probably a little bit mean, but man, it's a joke. If there was a commercial that Jones should do in a couple of years, he should probably do a commercial for a company. You know the neck massages that you put on the back of your neck while you're watching TV. He should do a commercial for one of those. I think he could be the spokesperson for that because we all know he could certainly use that. He's always got neck problems. Big Blue Step Over says, hey, Dana, per Brookover, it may be hard to trade a Dory per a rule. We may not be able to pay down his contract to help a possible trade. I don't think it's going to be easy to trade a Dory. I don't know that in terms of that rule, Steph. I have no idea what that is. That's news to me. But his contract's outrageous, and he's not playing well this year. So if we're able to trade a Dory for anything, I'd be happy. I don't think there's much of a market for him. Let's see. MetLife Health Insurance, Crazy says. It's a joke. It's a joke. I like Danny. It's a joke. Rob says DJ should do Viagra commercials, but he can't say. There you go. Yeah. He's repping the Sharper Image neck collars. There you go. Nah, I never. It's a joke. It's a joke. I like Danny. Let's see. Night, guys. Not slept since last week. Season not over. We got a lot on the roster, plus free agents. I like your positivity, Mel's. I hope it plays. I hope you have a good one. I hope the team gets better. I'm going to end this anyway. I didn't plan on going more than 2 hours. I'm going to be live tomorrow, guys. I'm going to be live with Carl Banks. I'm going to have Bad Dog on the channel. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know how long Carl's going to be on. Hopefully at least a half hour, maybe a little bit longer. Obviously, there's going to be a lot to talk about. You got the trade today. There may be more trades tomorrow. You got the WFAN fiasco. I'm sure that'll come up with what they said to him. Obviously, Kayvon's going to be a big topic of conversation. Players, just the defense in general, because that's Carl Banks, right? I'm sure Daniel Jones and the quarterback situation will be sprinkled in and everything else. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking about this team throughout the rest of the year. Definitely looking forward to pumping out a lot of offseason content for you guys this year because it's going to be an active offseason. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be at 8 o'clock tomorrow. It's on my channel. It's going to be here. Fabian says, what you thinking about? He's making a Super Bowl commercial. What you talking about? He's making a Super Bowl commercial. I'm with it, man. I hope you're right, man. I hope he goes to Disney World. He wins the Super Bowl MVP. Let's see. Tell Bad Dog don't curse in front of Carl. I can't guarantee he won't do it. Bad Dog's a lunatic. Nah, Bad Dog will keep it semi-professional. Let's see. Cool. I'll keep an eye out for it. Can't wait. Yeah, I'll have it posted. You guys will be able to pop in early. I'll have it posted I'll probably have the stream posted by like 5 o'clock. I get off work at 4:30. I'll probably have it posted by 5 o'clock. Because I want to be able to send the invite early to Carl on Twitter. So that way, he knows ahead of time. So I'll have the invite for you guys early. You'll be able to pop in early. So you get the notification. But yeah, it will be live at 8. Okay, Beg's sake wanted to stay. Daniel forgot that made him good. Let's hope he remembers about it. Yeah. Does he? Does Carl curse with Bob Papa? Huh. I've never seen that, but I'm not saying you're lying. Josh said, "You think we will lose Wink to it?" No, I do not. Um, no, I do not. The NFL is an offensively driven league at this point. I think most teams look for young, offensive minded head coaches. Wink is older, defensive, and as well as the defense is starting to play, I don't think the Giants, the way that the team is playing overall, is going to attract a lot of suitors. So no, I think Wink will be back next year. I think he'll be the defensive coordinator. That's one thing I don't think we'll have to worry about. Does he? Drops F bombs with does he? Plus or minus on Danny next neck injury 3. I hope not, man. I hope not. I hope it never happens again. I was just kidding about that. Bill says Wink has said openly he wants to stay here and has no interest in going anywhere. He says that, Bill, and I'm not saying he's lying, but you know, Patrick Graham said the same thing, and he couldn't wait to get out of here the second that Joe Judge left. So take that with a grain of salt. But listen, I think he is happy here. But at the same time, I think if he got a head coaching opportunity, he'd probably take it. And I wouldn't blame him at all. But guys, have a great rest of your night. Enjoy Monday Night Football tonight. The game probably stinks. It's the Lions versus whoever. I just know I'm rooting against the Lions because of my knockout pool. I think 20% of the people took the Lions. So I'd like to see 20% of the people get knocked out. But we'll see how it plays out tonight. Lions should blow them out, though. But guys, have a good night. Have a good night, guys. Be well. Talk to you guys tomorrow.